everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're finding me for the very first time or you are a returning viewer and have not yet done so, please click that like and subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you get all the notifications about when I put up new content right here on this channel. So this is yet another episode I like to do here on the channel where I do daily videos discussing movie news, pro wrestling talk, Funko Pops and collectibles, NFL talk, especially Indianapolis Colts because I'm a big Indianapolis Colts fan, and of course, you know, a bunch of other stuff as well. But one of the things I wanted to get into today is, of course, the new trailer that was released for Morbius. I also want to get into the fact that Robert Downey Jr. has been cast in Christopher Nolan's new film Oppenheimer. Alvin and the Chipmunks are possibly up for sale, and of course NXT as well. But I always like to start out all of my shows with the movie news because I know some people are not big fans of professional wrestling or pro football talk or Funko Pops or whatever it might be. So I always like to start out my shows with the movie news. And by all means, I'm going to be putting timestamps and do all of my episodes as well, so you can go check out any of these topics at your leisure. So with that being said, let's get into the biggest news of the day here that came out yesterday, as a matter of fact. And that was, of course, the new Morbius trailer for the new Sony Marvel movie that is going to be coming out that is connected to the Spider-Man universes, whatever it may be at this point. We'll have to wait and find out. And we're going to discuss a little bit of that about that here in just a second. But let's check out the trailer that was released real quick. I'll react to it and let you guys know what I think about it. So here we go.
You need a doctor?
I am a doctor.
I should have died years ago.
People all over the world have my disease.
I'm here to find a cure. We have to push the boundaries, take the risks.
Ooh,
You're gonna run.
Hurts. Just look at it. Nope, that's a negative for me, fam.
People are strange.
Dr. Michael Morbius, you've been missing for 2 months.
When you're a stranger,
Then you were found on a container ship that washed up off of Long Island.
faces look ugly. When you're alone,
Oh, Sony's definitely got the darker side of the Spider-Man villains down, I think, pretty well.
I went from dying to being more alive than ever.
it worked.
Got that Marvel
I
workout
have
regimen.
increased strength and speed and some form of bat radar. What else can I do?
Okay, this is freaky, dude. Gotta admit the special effects. Oh, there's Oscorp.
There's something inside of
Special effects look a lot better than they did in that first teaser.
and consume blood.
Michael. When you're a stranger,
It's a good shot.
faces come.
And you controlled it.
I don't know.
Half the city wants to kill you.
Tyrese.
Haven't had anything this good since that thing in San Francisco.
The other half wants to control you.
Hey, Dr. Mike.
Spider-Man tease.
I should stay in touch.
Speaking of which, there's the Vulture.
I'd do anything to save a life. But I don't know what I'm capable of.
Oh, nice.
You save lives, you don't take them.
You are a doctor,
You
so
can't heal the world
that would be against his nature, I would think.
or to destroy it.
Was he Marvel's version of Batman, although he's a vampire? Oh, that's a great shot. I love that's a money shot right there.
Who the hell are you, man?
I am Venom. I'm just kidding. It's Dr. Michael Morbius at your service.
Wow. All right. Yeah, so I think this looks very good here. I'm definitely looking forward to anything Marvel has in store for us, no doubt about it. And I know this is more on the Sony Spider-Man universe side of things. They're SSU instead of the MCU as they are dubbing it here. But there was also a featurette that was released for this movie as well, and I thought I would show that to you guys as well because there's a lot of people out there right now who are just asking the question, who is Morbius? It's a new character that we've not really been introduced yet in the Marvel movie world. So let's check this out real quick as well, and then we'll discuss a little more about it. Here we go.
Morbius is a Marvel character who's been an important part of the universe. He's brilliant.
That cure. It's finally possible.
He's strong. He's got some unique powers.
I'd
But
say.
his powers seem to be out of his control.
What's happening?
I love the opportunity to do something transformational.
I've become something.
Looks like he's having more fun with this than he did with Joker.
It was a very intense physical role. Morbius at his most frail and then most monstrous. The superhero, supervillain, putting a new Marvel character on screen that had never been on screen before. It'll be fun to see where we could go with that. There's a web of opportunity.
I like what you did there. A web of opportunities. Absolutely. I mean, so yeah, I mean, that's just a little glimpse of who Morbius is as a character. And obviously, let's talk a little bit more about what this means for the overall, Marvel world, the MCU, and all the good stuff. Here, let's check out this article from the Direct. Morbius, new trailer features Michael Keaton, his Vulture, and more Spider-Man connections here. So, yeah, the question right now is, where does Morbius fall in the Marvel universe? What timeline is it in? What world is it set in? There's a lot of questions right now about this, and hopefully we'll get a lot more answers in Spider-Man No Way Home in December. Sony's Spider-Man universe is expanding its roster of characters, and a brand new addition is Jared Leto as Michael Morbius. Morbius will follow the origin story of Leto's titular protagonist as he seeks to find a cure to a rare blood disease. After discovering a dangerous treatment, the character's conquest of finding a remedy leads to him transforming into a vampire with superhuman abilities. The movie's place in the larger multiverse has been the main topic of discussion by Marvel fans. Morbius's first trailer included several references to the MCU, such as the inclusion of Spider-Man Homecoming's Adrian Toomes and tying it into the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. Despite the MCU connections, questions about Morbius's universe were further amplified when more Easter eggs arrived in the latest featurette for the film. The new footage shows direct references to Tom Hardy's Venom and Mark Webb's The Amazing Spider-Man franchise. Now, ahead of the film's release in January of 2022, a new trailer provided more insight into Morbius's place in the vast multiverse. Obviously, we've got, Michael Keaton's Adrian Toomes, the Vulture, right here from Spider-Man Homecoming, and being seen yet again in his garb that he was wearing when he was in jail at the end of that film in the Morbius trailer. Sony Pictures officially released a brand new trailer for Morbius showcasing fresh looks at Jared Leto's titular character and the movie's story. The new 3-minute teaser offers a rundown of Morbius's abilities like bat radar, flying, and increased strength and speed. It also featured references to Tom Hardy's Venom and an appearance from Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture, played by Michael Keaton. And in this shot here, we see the Oscorp building from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's a little different looking in Morbius, so does that possibly mean we could be getting an Oscorp from a different universe? Or is this all supposed to be the same universe? That's the big question right now. The Oscorp building from Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man films was also included in the trailer. As for Venom, a detective tells Tyrese Gibson's Simon Stroud that they haven't had anything this good since that thing in San Francisco, clearly referencing the symbiote anti-hero Venom from the Tom Hardy films. A mural painted on a brick wall shows Spider-Man with the word murderer graffitied over him also made its return in this trailer as well. It is unknown if this is a direct reference to Tom Holland's web slinger, but the design somehow alludes to Tobey Maguire's iteration. It looks like his costume. So could this be set in the old Sam Raimi Tobey Maguire universe? So could be this universe, the Amazing Spider-Man universe, the Venom universe, could be the MCU since we're getting the Vulture. And of course, by the end of this trailer, he even references himself to "I am Venom" as a joke. And he's like, no, I'm just kidding. So, all of this combined is just like, what is going on right now? I mean, clearly, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered here in the Sony's Spider-Man universe of whatever they're doing with their Spider-Man characters at this point. Are we going to be getting them all in one universe, or is this going to be split up into multiple different universes colliding? My theory is going into Spider-Man No Way Home that whatever Doctor Strange does to try to erase everyone's memory about who Spider-Man really is and the fact that they know that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, when that spell gets messed up in the trailer, that's not a spoiler, I have this theory that all of these Spider-Man universes collide into the MCU, if only for a brief period of time. And when they do, maybe they all have to go back to one universe instead of multiple different Spider-Man. Maybe the Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland, and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universes all collide into one Spider-Man universe. That's a theory. I have no clue if I'm right on that or if I'm just way off base. I'm hoping Spider-Man No Way Home will give us a lot more answers into what is going on here. I mean, literally, the thing that kept popping into my head was, what is going on, for Jim Halpert from The Office. So I just can't understand for the life of me what's happening right now, and I hope we'll get a lot more answers to that coming up here very shortly. But the real question here is, guys, what do you guys think? What is going on in this Morbius movie? What is going on in the rest of the MCU? Do you guys have a theory about it? Please comment below, let me know. And what did you guys think about the Morbius trailer? Are you looking forward to this movie, or you guys kind of think, I don't necessarily need to see this character on screen? Comment below and let me know your thoughts on it. All right, with that being said, let's move into the second movie news topic that I wanted to discuss today. And that is, of course, we got a little bit of news now of what Robert Downey Jr. is going to be doing here after his MCU life as Iron Man Tony Stark. And now we've got a little bit of news of his next movie role. So let's go over here to the direct and check out this article. Iron Man star Robert Downey Jr. has been cast in Christopher Nolan's next movie. Christopher Nolan is best known for making waves in Hollywood due to creating noteworthy films like Interstellar, Inception, and the Dark Knight trilogy. After Tenet's release in 2020, it has been confirmed that Christopher Nolan has already set his eyes on his next project entitled Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is Nolan's first film under Universal, marking the end of the director's partnership with Warner Brothers. Nolan's deal with Universal made headlines due to his list of demands, which reportedly included an exclusive 100-day theatrical release, a $100 million marketing budget, a $100 million production budget, and full creative control. Cillian, I don't know exactly how you pronounce it, Cillian Murphy was confirmed to have joined the cast of Oppenheimer as the titular character, while A Quiet Place's Emily Blunt was also reported to be part of the ensemble. Now, new casting details have arrived for Nolan's next project. Interestingly enough, Emily Blunt and Cillian Murphy, however you say his name, were both in A Quiet Place Part 2, and I thought they both did excellent jobs in that movie. Well, Deadline has shared that Matt Damon, alongside Robert Downey Jr., are reportedly in talks to join Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. If talks are successful, Matt Damon and Robert Downey Jr. are expected to join Emily Blunt and Cillian Murphy in the film that revolves around J. Robert Oppenheimer, the scientist who ran the Manhattan Project that led to the creation of the atomic bomb. The outlet also reported that Damon and Downey's roles are still being kept under wraps. However, The Hollywood Reporter was able to snag the casting details for the film's stellar cast. Aside from Cillian Murphy's titular character, the outlet revealed that Blunt will play his wife, Catherine Kitty Oppenheimer. Matt Damon will play Lieutenant General Leslie Groves, the director of the Manhattan Project, while Downey will play Louis Strauss, the Atomic Energy Commissioner who spearheaded hearings that question Oppenheimer's loyalty to the United States. So, yeah, obviously they go on to talk about, Christopher Nolan's, movies he's done, and of course Robert Downey Jr.'s MCU roles and things like that. So yeah, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be joining Christopher Nolan's next film, Oppenheimer, and Matt Damon as well. He kind of got buried in the shuffle of this article a little bit, but Matt Damon has also been confirmed to be in talks to be in a role in this film as well. So I'm intrigued by this, just because Robert Oppenheimer, obviously, with the creation of the atomic bomb, it'd be an interesting story to tell on screen. And Christopher Nolan is an amazing filmmaker. I've yet to see Tenet for his most recent outing, but Inception, Interstellar, the Dark Knight trilogy, Dunkirk, you name it, they've all been very well done and very well made movies. I know a lot of people had their criticisms of Tenet, so that's partially why I've not checked it out just yet, but I do trust Christopher Nolan as a filmmaker, and I think he's going to make a great film here once again with Oppenheimer. I'll just be curious to see the roles that Robert Downey Jr. plays. Hopefully it's not a small role. Hopefully it's a good sized role, because I think, Obviously, Doolittle didn't really do real well at the box office, and I heard the movie wasn't that great either. Would love to see Robert Downey Jr. get back into that spotlight, despite the fact that a lot of people just still want to see him as Tony Stark in Iron Man. It doesn't appear that that's going to be happening anytime soon, but with the multiverse, never say never. We may yet still see Robert Downey Jr. again in the Iron Suit. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. But the real question here is, though, guys, what do you guys think about the fact that Robert Downey Jr. and Matt Damon actually have been cast in Oppenheimer, being directed by Christopher Nolan? Please comment below and let me know your thoughts on that. All right, with those two movie news items down, let's get into the third and final movie news topic that I wanted to discuss tonight before we get into the NXT review. And that is, of course, the fact that apparently, according to Screen Rant, and I'm sure other outlets are discussing this as well, but this is the article I pulled. Screen Rant is reporting that Alvin and the Chipmunks, the franchise, is reportedly on sale for $300 million. Alvin, Simon, and Theodore are up for sale as the owners of the Alvin and the Chipmunks brand are looking to sell the rights for $300 million. The Alvin and the Chipmunks franchise is now for sale. The world-famous Chipmunks include Alvin, the oldest and most mischievous of the bunch, Simon, the middle child and brains of the group, and Theodore, who is the youngest brother and the shy, sweet member of the family. The three Chipmunks live with Dave Seville, their manager and father figure who takes care of the boys. Created in 1958 by Ross Bagdasarian, I think I said that right, Sr., the Chipmunks' voice was first used in the song Witch Doctor, and the characters got their names and their first featured song, the 1958 holiday classic, The Chipmunks Song, Christmas Don't Be Late. Since then, the characters have become pop culture icons as the stars of multiple animated series and films, as well as their own Alvin and the Chipmunks live-action film series. Alvin, Simon, and Theodore are known all over the world and are incredibly valuable property. According to a report from CNBC, the owners are reportedly looking to sell the rights to the Alvin and the Chipmunks franchise and their production company for $300 million. The report says they have had several meetings with several buyers, including Viacom CBS, but no agreement on terms has been made. The husband and wife duo had previously looked to sell the company 4 years ago, but scrapped the decision. This would not be the first time Alvin and the Chipmunks had been acquired. In 1999, Universal acquired the rights for a brief period of time, which resulted in two direct-to-video movies, Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet Frankenstein and Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet the Wolfman. Universal lost the rights to the characters in 2002 for a breach of contract with the production company, who took the property to 20th Century Fox for the 2007 live-action adaptation and its three sequels, which grossed $1 billion at the worldwide box office, despite poor reaction from critics and the actors involved, which is crazy to me. I haven't seen a couple of the sequels, but I ain't going to lie. That first Alvin and the Chipmunks movie in 2007, I thought was adorable. I'm sorry. Call me a wuss all you want. I thought it was a great little film, and it made me laugh, and it gave, it warmed my heart a little bit. Whatever. Call me a big kid if you want to. I kind of liked it. Many studios are looking to acquire IP to bolster their catalog, and Alvin and the Chipmunks would be a valuable asset for any studio. Recently, Netflix purchased the entire Roald Dahl collection, while Apple has exclusive streaming rights to the Peanuts. An acquisition by Viacom CBS makes sense given the company's strong control over the various Nickelodeon franchises and would fit alongside their purchase of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles they made in 2009. Disney currently owns the 4 live-action films, which is after its acquisition of 20th Century Fox, and while they certainly have plenty of IP, Alvin and the Chipmunks could just be one of many that the House of Mouse could look to acquire. Because, obviously, any of the old cartoons or anything like that of Alvin and the Chipmunks would look great on Disney+, no doubt about that. Could we possibly see a reboot of the live-action movies? Sure, we could, no doubt about it, but I don't know if that's something that audiences is going to be clamoring to check out. Like I said, I love the first live-action remake, but I don't know if I thought the first sequel was okay, but I don't recall if I ever saw 3 and 4, which kind of looked like it was starting to get a little out there for me personally. I don't know. This is definitely a valuable property over the years. I don't know how much relevancy it has today, but like I said, you never know. If you get the right creators behind it, you could always, spice things up and bring it back. I mean, we saw a Peanuts movie not too long ago. We're getting a live or a animated Garfield film that I reported on yesterday. So go check out my YouTube video on that one, talking about Chris Pratt being the voice of Garfield. And, you know, so there's always ways to bring back properties that have been popular back in the day. We're apparently getting 2 new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, one animated, I think one live action in the coming years. So definitely old properties will always come back around if they've been popular at one time or another. We just got a recent G.I. Joe live action film. We're getting more Transformers live action movies. All these properties were big back in the 80s are definitely coming back and will always be around. No matter what, they'll always get rebooted and things like that. That's just kind of what Hollywood does. But yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on things. What do you guys think about the fact that Alvin and the Chipmunks is officially seems like they're up for sale for $300 million to the highest bidder? Please comment below and let me know what you guys think about that. All right, with that being said, let's move into the final portion of the show, and that is, of course, the NXT review for November 2nd, 2021 here. I've not really watched a whole lot of NXT recently. I did catch a little bit of the Halloween Havoc show, and this is the show that follows up right after that, so just to let you all know. The new NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose kicks off the show. She won the title last week at Halloween Havoc, completing what is being called the Toxic Trifecta. All 3 members of Toxic Attraction won titles last Tuesday night. Rose enters the ring for a promo. Some in the crowd chant for her, and some chant against her. First thing I noticed, too, with this new NXT 2.0, Halloween Havoc was definitely probably its best show that they've done overall since the rebrand. And I'm not going to lie, I thought tonight's show was actually pretty decent. Monday Night Raw had some really good wrestling. Now, some of their finishes and some of the stories is not great, or they're really not going anywhere outside of maybe the Raw Women's Championship and the main event, WWE Championship feuds. Everything else is just kind of, okay, maybe new matches and good matches, but the stories ain't going nowhere. NXT, I think they're doing a pretty decent job of building up this new young roster, and I got to give them credit for that. I ain't going to lie. So, yeah, she healed. The other thing I noticed right away was, too, that the NXT arena is definitely tiny. Nothing wrong with that per se. I mean, I watched AEW Dark and AEW Elevation, or Dark Elevation as well, and they've been filming at least one of the shows at Universal Studios in a small arena too. Nothing wrong with that being it's the developmental brand, but if you're going to take NXT on the road for a takeover pay-per-view or whatever you're going to be doing, you probably need to, you know, I don't know if you're going to be able to sell tickets to a bigger arena with this developmental brand that nobody knows any of the characters yet with. I know they're working on it, but it'll be interesting to see how they play this when they get back on the road or do pay-per-view events with this NXT crew. Mandy Rose healed on the crowd. Regardless, Rose goes on to talk about defeating Raquel Gonzalez for the title last week. Rose told us that she was winning the title, and she did. She added that she was a woman of her word. In saying she was the baddest in the building, Rose cursed, and she was bleeped by censors because she said GD. I don't know how much that USA Network would be too happy with that one, so I get that one being censored, no doubt about it. Rose brought up the other 2 members of Toxic Attraction. She assumed everyone was wondering where they were, since they were not at Rose's side as usual. So they cut to backstage where JC Jane and Gigi Dolan were attacking Zoe Stark, who they defeated for the NXT Tag Team Women's Championships. They targeted Stark's leg, and Stark sold big. So I don't know exactly, I mean, I get they've been having a rivalry, but if you won the belts on them, did you have to attack Zoe Stark? I get it, they're heels, and that's kind of what they're doing. They wanted to establish dominance here in the new NXT, that's for sure. Back in the ring, Rose says Toxic Attraction runs NXT, to my point. She adds there is not a woman, tag team, or faction that will stop them. Mandy Rose is then interrupted by Io Shirai, who says she just saw what Toxic Attraction did, and Shirai says she does not like Zoe Starks, even though she's her tag team partner. She's been kind of getting along with her just to have the NXT Tag Team Championships here. But Shirai says she likes Mandy Rose even less. Io Shirai challenges Mandy Rose to a match right here and now, but Mandy Rose tells Shirai that she is not scared of her. Rose then hits Shirai with a cheap shot, striking her with a microphone. Rose begins to pummel Io Shirai. Rose continues the attack at ringside until they both get back into the ring. Rose cuts a promo on Shirai, but Rose is interrupted when Shirai makes a comeback. Shirai was a house of fire, and she went for a moonsault. Jane and Dolan runs down to the ring to jump Io Shirai, and Toxic Attraction came up on Shirai for a beatdown. That's when Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro, who they also defeated, make a save as they run into even the odds. The heel trios flee, and the first programs of the new champions are becoming clear. So either it's probably going to eventually be Io Shirai versus Mandy Rose for the NXT Women's Championship, and Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter against Gigi Dolan and JC Jane for the NXT Women's Tag titles on NXT. But I also could definitely see a 6-woman tag happening at some point leading up to whenever the show is. A rumor going around is I think NXT 2.0 is planning on doing some sort of a pay-per-view on December 5th, Sunday, December 5th, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see if they build up to that show. It's a little over a month away, so if that would be a good amount of time to build up this pay-per-view. So hopefully they'll be able to do that. So I like the direction. You got a new female faction that's kind of being dominant, which is something we don't see in WWE very often. So I'm liking what they're doing here, and NXT actually has a few women's tag teams that you can actually utilize for the tag team belts. So the NXT women's tag team belts are much more relevant than the main roster women's championships. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with these rivalries, and I can't wait to see where they go. Meanwhile, backstage after the melee, Toxic Attraction saw Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai tells Rose she did not do it to help Mandy Rose. Dakota Kai says she did it to end Raquel. Dakota Kai then heads to the ring for the opening match on this show. Meanwhile, Cameron Grimes arrived to Duke's poker room, Duke Hudson, then insults him, but Grimes takes it in stride. Grimes is actually really funny here. He's cackling like crazy, which is a little bit annoying to me to a degree, but I love Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes was great in that whole feud with LA Knight, so I'm always going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. These skits... yeah, so we got the first. He was basically challenging Duke Hudson at his own game of Texas Hold'em, and he was kind of trying to hit on this girl at the poker table as well. So this is one of a couple different videos that they had on the show in this feud. Dakota Kai then defeated Cora Jade to start off the show in a match. Kai pinned Jade to win decisively. Kai has a new killer instinct, no doubt about it, which she kind of had when she broke off with Raquel Gonzalez a little bit here, but they're definitely going to be continuing that feud, and the title is not going to be needed for that, apparently. So yeah, Kai drags Jade around by the hair after the match. Kai gets a table from underneath the ring. She puts the table on top of Jade, and Kai looked to jump off the apron. Kai was talked down by the official, though, and she ended up not doing anything, which is a little weird. It's almost like, why didn't you just go for it? But I guess she felt that she didn't have the need to do so. MSK are at a bus stop. They were headed to meet the man behind the legend of MSK. They were talking and missed their bus, so they decided to walk instead. So interesting. Apparently, there's a legend behind MSK. Interesting. I like I said, I missed a few weeks of NXT here, so I don't know if there's actually something they've been alluding to or what. But they talk like that there was a story behind the name of MSK, and we didn't hear it because the bus rolled by. It was too loud. We couldn't hear the story, and when it rolled off, the story was over. So interesting to note if we ever get that story. I'd like to maybe hear it. Again, I'm a little behind on NXT, so maybe there's some stuff in behind that I'm not aware of. Zion Quinn then defeated Robert Stone. This started off with some weird, freaky dance-off, and I'm not going to lie, this did not work for me. The squash part of it wasn't too bad, but this dance-off was terrible in my opinion. So yeah, Robert Stone was mad that Zion Quinn had chokeslammed him through a table during a costume party last week on Halloween Havoc. Stone was going to outsing Quinn and then stomp him. Actually, Robert Stone made stomp you rhyme with romper somehow. I don't know how he pulled that one off, but they hit the music and Stone starts to sing and dance terribly in the ring. But he's definitely proud of himself. The crowd chants that he sucks. That's for sure. Spot on, this NXT crowd for sure. Zion Quinn was definitely not impressed with this. Quinn said he was just going to be honest. That was kind of interesting. That's not the word I'd use to choose to describe this, but Quinn then says he only came here to kick his ass. Robert Stone calls Quinn a chicken for not wanting to sing, so Zion Quinn agreed to sing. And then they cued some music. It was Shawn Michaels' HBK's theme song, Sexy Boy, which Robert Quinn proceeds to sing along to the song. or I'm sorry, Zion Quinn proceeds to sing along to the song. This segment really took a turn for the worse here. This got bad and bad real quick as Robert Stone tries to attack Zion Quinn, but Quinn spins him into a dance-like routine and then drops Stone on the mat. So it looked like he was, spinning him, and then he dipped him instead of throwing him to the ground, and then he picked him up in the air like he was going to spin him around instead of dropping him to the mat. So this was a horrible attempt to making a dance off with a pro wrestling segment. It was not good. This is probably the worst segment on the show, in my opinion. This is probably the thing that made the show, not as good as it could have been, but I'm willing to let it go because the rest of the show wasn't terrible. But Robert Stone charges at Quinn again, and they do a dirty dancing spot again, lifting him over his head. The singing is thankfully over as Zion Quinn squashes Stone for a beatdown, and then Quinn then covered Stone for a pinfall. So yeah, everything leading up to the squash was terrible, but at least they got the pinfall on Robert Stone here, and Zion Quinn gets a victory. But Robert Stone, I just can't stand this character. I'm sorry, he's not for me. If you enjoy it, more power to you, but I can't stand him. Joe Gacy cuts a promo about Harlan, and Gacy says that they will take over the world together. Sure. Okay. We'll see. Joe Gacy's another guy. I'm not really into the gimmick, but didn't have a whole lot of him on this show, so that's a good thing, I guess. Legado del Fantasma, Raul Mendoza, and Joaquin Wilde with Elektra Lopez at ringside defeated Von Wagner and Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly is the workhorse of this team, but Von Wagner is the focus. The heat was on Kyle O'Reilly, leading to a hot tag by Von Wagner. They worked well together until the finish. They went for a tandem move when Mendoza takes out Kyle O'Reilly with a missile dropkick. Wilde then pinned Wagner with a schoolboy for the win out of nowhere here. So yeah, I mean, Von Wagner, just got beat pretty easily here at the end of this, I think. I mean, O'Reilly got hit with the drop kick, and then, Wagner, he got rolled up technically, and his feet were in the ropes, but the referee did not see it. So those of us watching at home saw his foot in the ropes, so clearly the referee should have broke the count. But this was clearly a botch that wasn't supposed to happen. Commentary tried to make up for it a little bit after the match and said, well, the referee clearly missed that spot. And then later in the next match, I think they said that O'Reilly and Von Wagner were angry in the back because the referee missed the spot. So hopefully they'll at least take this and turn it into a storyline and kind of build on top of it. You guys cheated. You guys shouldn't have won. I had my foot in the ropes, that sort of thing, because this is just a botch. It wasn't supposed to happen. But unfortunately, this sort of thing happens in pro wrestling sometimes. So I'm not going to kill it too much. It just happens. North American champion Carmella Hayes is with Trick Williams for a backstage interview. Andre Chase interrupts them to say he has their back like they had his back last week in the haunted house. Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes blow off Chase, and they laugh at him as they leave. Chase is asked about people calling him a coward after what happened in the haunted house. Chase gets angry and heads to the ring to give out an ass kicking. There's a lot of cursing on this show for sure. They're definitely trying to ramp up the edge factor, I think, a little bit here. Definitely edgy, but some of it's unnecessary for sure. But yeah, I get it. AEW's been doing some of that, sometimes a little too much. So WWE's trying to ramp it up a little bit as well. I get it. The competition kind of breeds this sort of thing. No doubt about it. Back at Duke's poker room, Cameron Grimes was having good luck chatting with the woman that he was sitting next to. Grimes also had good luck at poker. He won a hand and did not even know it until revealing a flush. Grimes had no idea what a flush was, but he was happy to win anyway. Duke Hudson called it beginner's luck, and the game continues later on in this show. So clearly they're building up to a Duke Hudson-Cameron Grimes match. Then my concern becomes who wins this match, because obviously Duke Hudson's one of the new breed here in NXT, and Cameron Grimes is a bit more of a mainstay from the old NXT brand. And I want to see Cameron Grimes continue to do well. I don't want to see him kind of get buried in the shuffle here. But to be honest, I thought that they were going to give the title to Braun Breaker, and they kept the title on Tommaso Ciampa for now. So I'm not going to jump to any conclusions just yet. I just want to see everybody be treated fairly and not just have the old guard kind of shoved aside for all the new talent that they want to push. And I think they're doing a pretty decent job of building some of this new talent. I'm not going to lie. I think when this NXT rebrand started, I thought there was no way any of these characters were going to work, but they've done a really good job of building them, whether that be Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, or Shawn Michaels, or whoever is running this show right now. A lot of people feel like Shawn's still in control. Obviously, the Shawn Michaels theme music a while ago, I'm sure that was a bit of Shawn's idea, but obviously you can tell the production is Kevin Dunn. It's main roster production, and I still think Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon are definitely the ones with the final say, just like they are on the main roster. But that's going to be a good thing when it comes time to call up some of these talents. Hopefully that means they won't have to change them when they get to the main roster right away, like Keith Lee or Karrion Kross or some of these other guys who, they've tried to change it. Austin Theory, a little bit of a change. They gave him the old Tyler Breeze gimmick with the selfies and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully this will at least lead to good things down the road. We'll see what happens. Speaking of Braun Breaker, ran through Andre Chase in a very quick match up next. Chase came out to the ring, and he was mad about people calling him a coward. So Chase scoffed at this, and he says, "We have a teachable moment here. The only thing to fear out here is Andre Chase." Hold on to that thought, though, buddy, because out comes Braun Breaker to accept your open challenge. I'll tell you right now, I had yet to see Braun Breaker's new Scott Steiner theme with the siren and the light, and he definitely looks like Rick. He's got Scott Steiner's entrance, and he definitely cuts a promo like Scott Steiner, which we'll get into here in just a little bit. Because for those of you who don't know, Braun Breaker is the son of Rick Steiner. So he definitely looks just like him. You put some old wrestling headgear on him, he's going to look just like his father, no doubt about it. Breaker mauls Chase from the start of the short match. Chase is pummeled from pillar to post, and Braun Breaker with power moves. Chase manages to cut him off with a cheap shot. Breaker fires up, and soon thereafter, just before the finish, Breaker hits Chase with a gorilla press, and then Breaker drops Chase into a power slam. Breaker then covers Chase for a very easy pinfall as this short match comes to a close. Then Braun Breaker cut a promo after the match. He acknowledged failing to win the biggest match of his career last week. Nothing pisses him off more than losing. Braun Breaker vowed to get another shot at the title and win the belt. So he definitely put over Tommaso Ciampa as the man here at NXT. Very babyface promo, obviously to show respect to the man who beat him and to not whine, not to complain, but he says he's still going to keep trying and do his darndest to win and even die trying if that's what it takes. So good babyface promo here. And Braun Breaker, I'm not going to lie, he's got a little bit of that it factor, and he's very impressive in the ring. He's got the look. He's got some family lineage that usually plays well. For whatever reason, WWE doesn't want to acknowledge that lineage. They're doing everything besides saying he's Rick Steiner's son. So I mean, he kind of is built more like Scott a little. He's kind of built like Rick too. Looks like Rick. Definitely cuts a promo like Scott and does the entrance like Scott. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where this kid's career goes. He could have a very, very bright future here in the WWE. Next up, the new NXT Tag Champions Imperium cut a promo with subtitles backstage. They were approached by the new NXT Women's Tag Champions JC Jane and Gigi Dolan. The new women's champs say they are booked in a trios match for next week on NXT. There's the sixth woman I was telling you about. They invite the guys to watch, and of course, they were definitely flirting with Imperium here. And I believe, I can't remember which one it was, but one of the members of Imperium is like, the mat is sacred, but it's great to be in America. So yeah, I mean, I kind of got a kick out of that. Lashing Out with Lash Legend has Tony D'Angelo as a guest. Not going to lie, I'm not a big fan of this Lash Legend segment, but I thought Tony D'Angelo was great here. The subject is the abduction of the producer named Mark. He comes on the show, and Tony D'Angelo verbally dresses him down. D'Angelo bullies Mark into saying everything is fine, kind of like when someone is kidnapped and their victim's like, yeah, say everything's fine. Say it. And of course, he's like, yes, everything's fine. We're good. And D'Angelo definitely played up this like mafia like feel to his character. I really appreciated it. This like Tony Soprano type thing. It was really cool. Tony D'Angelo says his goal is to make as much money as he can and beat people up along the way. Tony D'Angelo slips Lash Legend some money before making an exit, which she took a shine to. So yeah, this is just to kind of get Tony D'Angelo's name out there a little bit, kind of show a little bit more of his personality. I liked what I saw from him. I just could not get into the actual segment with this Lash Legend. I'm sorry, it's my opinion, no doubt about it. Solo Sikoa, I think it's Solo Sikoa, defeated Jeet Rama. Some of these names, I tell you. But Sikoa The first thing I noticed right away, and I had to actually look it up, but he looks like an Uso. And sure enough, he is Jimmy and Jay's younger brother. So Solo Sikoa is part of the bloodline. Eventually, could we see him jump over to SmackDown and join Roman Reigns and the Usos? Absolutely. The kid actually looks like he's already got some decent skill. I wouldn't be surprised if they call this kid up sooner rather than later to get him a part of that bloodline feud going on up there. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that, but I thought he looked good in this match. No doubt about it. He pinned Rama in another squash match, but Sikoa was made to look like a killer. Sikoa won with a splash off the top rope, and Sikoa looked impressive in doing so. So yeah, he kind of did that. The Uso splash, the old Superfly Jimmy Snuka splash, that sort of thing. So yeah, definitely a member of the Samoan family here. You could tell right away he just had that look. He had that the characteristics in his face that just screamed Uso, and sure enough, he's a member of the family and one of Rikishi's kids along with Jimmy and Jay. So yeah, good to see him. Can't wait to see more out of the kid. Then we had Boa defeating Grayson Waller. Boa pinned Waller after Waller was distracted by LA Knight. This was a typical main roster finish. LA Knight was at commentary at ringside, and of course he caused a distraction for Grayson Waller, which is probably going to be setting up LA Knight versus Grayson Waller at some point, which is a match I'd like to maybe see. Again, fresh matchup, nothing wrong with it. A lot of fresh matchups on NXT. I'm looking forward to check it out, and I thought they did a pretty good job with that. I just prefer not to see the typical, prototypical WWE, formula here with the distraction finish and leading to the babyface looking like an idiot for falling for it, that sort of thing. So yeah. Let's see. When Waller was making a comeback, Knight left the announce desk. Knight caused a distraction, which caused Boa to nail Waller with a knee strike, and Boa then covered Waller for the pin. After this, we had the conclusion of the skits from Duke's Poker Rooms that saw Cameron Grimes beat a smug Duke Hudson in a poker game. Grimes got the last laugh. Pleasantly surprised, Cameron Grimes did not look like a dork. Did not look like a look. That's what this says here. It's a little badly worded for an article. Instead, he looked to be headed to the moon. So yes, this is going to get under Duke Hudson's skin as he flipped the poker table in anger after this embarrassing defeat at the hands of Cameron Grimes at his own game. So yes, we're going to be getting Cameron Grimes versus Duke Hudson here coming up before too much longer, I think. Then we had Kaylee Ray as she will be returning to NXT next week, and she vows to rage. She also smashed a lot of things in a rage. So great, cool. Then we had the NXT North American Champion confronted Tommaso Ciampa as Tommaso Ciampa come to the ring, clutching his title belt. He's holding Goldie very, very close. Ciampa talks about a changing of the guard at Halloween Havoc. All of the titles changed hands except for Ciampa's title. Ciampa declares himself the god of NXT. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams then interrupt Ciampa's promo, because even Ciampa kind of called it. He's like, about this time is when we get, and then of course, Carmelo Hayes' music hit. Of course, Ciampa is alluding to the fact of the WWE formula that usually about this time, when I start accepting the fact that I won and, celebrate my victory, out comes the next challenger, which is always the case in the WWE formula, which I'm not a big fan of. At least in this case, Carmelo Hayes has been on a bit of a roll. He cashed in his contract or whatever it is he won to get the North American Championship, and now he's going for a bigger title. So at least he's got some merit behind his name after just winning the NXT North American Championship. So that I appreciate. Hayes, who is North American champion, says he wants to put Ciampa in check. Hayes tells Ciampa that Hayes is the A champion of NXT as long as he holds that belt. Ciampa claps back at Hayes, and Ciampa basically says Hayes is bluffing. Ciampa tells Hayes that Carmelo Hayes himself does not believe a word that Carmelo Hayes is saying right now. Ciampa says if Hayes feels froggy, then Hayes should just jump. Trick Williams tries to chime in, saying Ciampa is tripping. Ciampa, in turn, lays out Williams with a punch. Ciampa holds onto his title, and Ciampa slowly backs away to leave the ring. And Ciampa punked them out big time here. And as Ciampa is slowly leaving the ringside area, Johnny Gargano's music hit as he was getting ready to come out for the main event against Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. He stops to meet Tommaso Ciampa in the aisle, which is clearly a tease for the former teammates to reunite as a tag team. Intriguing. Or could Ciampa be going for the NXT Championship? To me, I would much rather see the reuniting of DIY here, no doubt about it. But because we've seen them wrestle, we've seen them go back and forth from being friends and foes. Clearly, Ciampa definitely could be going for the NXT title here, but it looks like, Carmelo Hayes is at least going to be going for that next. So, of course, Gargano's already got a tag team partner in Dexter Lumis, his son, so to speak, in the family tree of the way. But I would definitely like to see Ciampa and Gargano at least team up to possibly go up against Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams going down the line here. That would be a lot of fun. That led to the main event with Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes versus Dexter Lumis and Johnny Gargano. Carmelo Hayes pinned Dexter Lumis after Trick Williams hit Lumis with a shoe. Really good exchange with Gargano against Hayes. Lumis tagged in to clean things up, and he applied his signature sleeper on Carmelo Hayes. However, Trick Williams hit Lumis with a shoe like he was J.J. Dillon at the Clash of the Champions. Just like at the Clash, though, it did work. Lumis was knocked out, and Gargano hit Williams with a tope, but Lumis was still laid out in the ring. Carmelo Hayes leaped off the top rope with a Psychosis-style guillotine leg drop on Lumis, and Carmelo Hayes then covered Dexter Lumis for a 3 count, and the heels still a win here. So yeah, this again would make some sense that with Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams getting the win over Johnny Gargano's team, that now Gargano would want to maybe team up with Ciampa to go after these two guys. So they're making that narratively make some sense. So I like this. They're doing a good job of building the story here with Carmelo Hayes against Ciampa, and at the same time, now Gargano's going to want a piece of this. So I really like the way NXT handled that. For the most part, I thought NXT was a really good show this week. I don't know how many people are actually checking it out since the rebrand. I know some people, including myself, was like, I don't want to see them rebranded. I love what Triple H has done with it, and now it feels like, NXT is kind of, reverted to main roster material. But for the most part, I thought this episode and Halloween Havoc were good shows. So I'm not going to sit here and say you just should never watch NXT. I'm going to praise a good show when I see a good wrestling show, and I'm going to diss a bad wrestling show when it's a bad wrestling show, whether it's WWE, AEW, Impact, or whatever I might talk about here on the channel. I'm going to praise it when it's good, and I'm going to diss when it's bad. And in this case, I thought Monday Night Raw was decent outside of at least the wrestling. NXT 2.0 tonight, though, was a much better show than Monday Night Raw, all things considered. So good week of wrestling so far. We'll see how AEW Dynamite is tomorrow here on the channel as I review that as well. So that'll about do it for me this evening, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. I hope you guys are enjoying these new longer episodes here where I do all these different topics in 1 hour or so or less. Please comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And please hit that notification bell. Hit the like button. Hit the share button. Comment. Do all that good fancy YouTube stuff. It really helps me grow the channel here and expand my audience and my reach here on the channel. And until my next video, guys, please take care.
We about to turn it up.